Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and George here with our review for A Quiet Place.
Yes.
But before we get into The Quiet Place, head on over to iTunes, hit subscribe, give us one of them beautiful 5-star reviews. It's like a free gift that makes the world a better place. Or, if you're against iTunes, for whatever reason, could be a billion different things.
Some valid ones.
Head on over to, I always say my personal favorite because I love this app with all my heart, Spotify. Hit the green follow button. Means the world to us.
But we are everywhere. So Stitcher, Google Play. We're probably broadcasting right outside in your backyard. You don't know it. Like
they're listening to this from in the International Space Station.
Nice. Hello, space.
Easy. All right. So this is probably last year we had a few big films. I think if I had to say two of the flagship films of last year would probably be It.
Yes.
And Get Out. I think this year A Quiet Place is going to be one of those flagship films.
Yeah, and Hereditary might be the other.
Oh, dude, that looked good.
Also, yeah.
That looked good. But A Quiet Place, I even saw some people online were saying it was a sleeper hit.
And then Halloween would be like the it.
Halloween is going to take off. Well, speaking of Halloween, we wanted to do a little bit of chit chat before we jumped right into the review.
Oh, yeah, this is a big day for horror.
And okay, so for those who are listening, this episode's going to go up tonight, which I guess if you're listening to this 3 months from now, it would be
tonight to
you.
Right. We are exactly 6 months out to the day from the release of Halloween, the remake sequel boot.
Is it just called Halloween? Yeah, it's just Halloween.
Right now it's just called Halloween. Yeah, but it comes out October 19th, and we're sitting here April 19th. So, and some amazing stuff came out online today, which just was really cool and caught our eye.
They Blumhouse has shown some promotional still, some other stuff, but we finally today got the poster for it, and it's beautiful from how simplistic it is. It's just Michael looking at an angle. Logo at the bottom right, bing bang. That's all they even need to do. It doesn't need to be like an like a lot of movies now they do like a retro style thing, like with like Thor. And this one was just like, no, here's Michael.
So you know what blows my mind about you saying that is you're absolutely right. It's minimalist, and that's all they needed. And I see so many people who do minimalist shit, and they still fuck it up. I feel like there's only two moving parts, and they still don't get it right. So this one got it right for all kinds of cool reasons. One is it was all Michael, little title, right? Like everyone knows, like, you got to get the mask issue out of the way, so they did it. Second, one of the things about Michael that's really cool is he looms, right? So they had him looking down. That's the angle, right? Like he's looking down at a victim or something he's going to crush or whatever, which is just the perfect way to shoot it. Third, they distressed the mask.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
Perfectly, because I feel like this is wrong, but I feel like if you mapped the distressed, features on that mask, and you moved it over, like pulled it whatever your tech abilities are, you pulled it over and you put it on John Carpenter. That's where they got the distress from. I think it matches the lines on his face. So it's absolutely amazing that they literally were like, you know what? John's had a life. Michael's had a life. Let's just make it happen, which is so cool.
Just a road map. It's like a trucker.
Totally.
You can see all the shit.
Which was amazing. But also, I don't know if you saw, because this just happened, and I just retweeted on our Hello Weekly account on Twitter, which if you're not following it, at Hello Weekly.
Head on over there.
I think it's actually at Hello Weekly Pod. We were, what really caught my eye was, pun not intended, I swear to God, they did a close-up zoom on it and lightened it, the mask poster. He has one eye. So the other eye is poked out and injured. So you only see one functional eye. And what's blowing my mind about this attention to detail is Michael got stabbed with a coat hanger in one, and none of the other ones exist to this movie. So in this poster, He's got one functional eye, which is exactly the way it should be.
Wow.
Which is mind-boggling.
If that level of details throughout the whole entire film, this will be the best Halloween film. Hands down.
Totally amazing. So yeah.
I got me real excited.
Yeah.
Because that just means, the people behind it. I think it's like Danny McBride and a few others. This shit means something to them.
Totally.
Oh, I didn't know that. I gotta go.
Oh, it's super cool.
That's awesome. And so the other bit of news that came out was, and I got to be honest, is the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom trailer. I didn't like Jurassic World. There were some scenes in it that I thought was pretty cool. I actually got sick to my stomach when the assistant died because I thought
yeah, that was rough.
It was like the most unnecessarily cruel death in motion picture history. So when they said the second one was going to be more horror, I was like, okay, I'm a little bit interested, but still, I'm not a big fan of Colin Trevorrow, which I think they announced is doing the third one. So I'm like, I'm already looking down at the third one, I don't care. But the trailer for Fallen Kingdom came out, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a horror movie. It is a creature fucking feature. It is, and people were comparing it because it looks like it's going to be sort of like how the first one was a carbon copy kind. I don't know if it was copy. It was very similar to the first one. This one,
just the way the Force Returns was a remake of New Hope.
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Yeah. But they're saying now this one is looking like the Lost World.
Yes.
Which I like the Lost World.
See, the only thing I like about Lost World is the thing they're tripling down on in this, which is the out of park action.
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm super looking forward to. So.
And the dinosaurs looked great. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it until the movie comes. It looks like a lot of people were complaining that the trailer gave away too much. Someone's like, I saw a lot of things I wish I had. I'm like, fuck off. You're still going to go see the movie. You're not, just because you saw it in the trailer, you're going to, oh, well, I guess I won't sit in the theater and experience.
Nobody's going to do that. I still wish they would, but you're right. Nobody's going to do that.
Well, see, I'm from the strong camp of spoilers don't ruin a film.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like watching an M. Night film, knowing the twist makes the story that much more juicy.
Right. Yeah, spoilers don't faze you at all. And I don't know.
But that's just me personally. I
don't know that I care, especially in a franchise with this much money and stuff behind it, because I doubt they're going to do anything that radically surprises me anyway. So, whatever. It's not Mechagodzilla is going to show up halfway through this movie. It's going to be a Jurassic Park movie.
Exactly. So. I don't know what they were expecting were going to happen with Chris Pratt and dinosaurs.
But I actually like how the circle. You love when things come full circle. I like how the serpent eats its tail here because. One of the genius things about Jurassic Park was how it mocked and created merchandise at the same time, right? There was merch in the movie, and then merch getting sold outside the movie, and you could tell that the branding of it was really important, internal into the movie, right? Attenborough's character is down to the last detail trying to figure out where the signs, the gates, all that stuff, everything is branded. So. The one thing that you do with a movie is cleverly merchandise it. But the one thing you do, which anyone who's a collector eventually discovers, is eventually you get sick of your merchandise, a lot of it someday. I've moved several times, and a lot of times there's stuff where I'm like, I'm just done with that. I'm not bringing it, or I'm selling it, or whatever. And they're killing the park. And it's time for the park to go.
Yeah.
It's time to move out of that, venue and stop trying to twist time and space to get people to go back and be like, I think the park's going to work this time. No,
it's never going to work.
It's over. They're doing the equivalent of me looking at it going, no, I'm selling this.
Yeah, it's
fuck the park.
We're past it.
Right, which is great.
But the trailer made me excited for a film I wasn't excited for. Even if you saw a few scenes you didn't want to, it's probably the scenes that they didn't want to see are the ones that made me go, oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I will. I'll pull up. Plus with Movie Pass, it's who cares? I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Subtitles. The whatever the Fallen Kingdom part of this fascinating because that's not in the rest of this franchise, right? It's basically Lost World did it. And then 3 is just Jurassic Park 3, right?
Yeah.
And then Jurassic World is just Jurassic World.
Yeah.
So this one's really cleaving to the Lost World thing. And I like that. I like that Fallen Kingdom sounds sort of sad.
Well, what's great is a lot of people were talking about being that the dinosaurs come to places that aren't a dinosaur island. They're saying the Fallen Kingdom isn't their kingdom.
Right. It's us. Yeah, which is great.
And when they said that, I was like, oh, big dinosaurs hunting people. I'm down for that.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. And then, but then people, of course, were trying to put, find plot holes or just like they were trying to find weird things within that world. Going, well, why didn't they just mechanize or weaponize lions and all this other shit? I'm like, because it's not a fucking dinosaur. like, like, like if you're gonna go to the field, play ball. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
So I thought that was a little silly, but overall, the trailer gave me a really strong horror vibe. It actually piqued my interest in a franchise that I thought I had no more interest in, and then surprised me with a crazy cool horror trailer.
And we're about to walk through A Quiet Place, and just talking about like the Halloween and Fallen Kingdom and Quiet Place. It's making me. I'm just dying to meet 10, 15 years from now, the 10, 15-year-old people who are becoming horror fans for the first time right now because of this.
Yeah.
And how cool it's going to be to talk to them like 10, 15 years out. I feel like they're going through, this is the first viable time where you can look around and be like, whoever they are that age, they're going through kind of like what the horror 80s fans went through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're going to make films that are influenced with this, and it's going to bring like a whole new like ball game. It's going to be pretty gnarly. All right, so that's pretty much the news.
Yes.
Around or what's happening here that excited us.
Yep.
There's a lot more horror news, but
those were the big ones.
Those were the ones that I was like,
let's just cover 2 each time. We'll call them Twin Peaks.
That's great. You said no, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of dig that. Okay. I kind of like that. Okay, so A Quiet Place. We were teetering back and forth with, should we do a spoiler-free review? But we decided that's no fun, and we waited another weekend before we saw the film. So if you haven't seen it by now, stop, go watch the film, go enjoy the film because it's great.
Yes.
Let us know how your theater reacted,
yes.
and then listen to this. But we are not going to
avoid spoilers. One of the things we realized trying to construct this episode was that this is one of those movies that argues for movies to stay as communal experiences, not things you watch on your phone or by yourself or at your computer while you're working, right? So the theater experience is really key to this, and there's no way to really talk about in a fun way how the theater reacted without talking about what they're reacting to. Which means, fuck it, we're gonna spoil it. So just hang on for the ride.
Well, let's jump into it. So the first thing, aside from like reviewing the film, was like the theater reaction and the way they acted. So
we saw this together. It's a weekday.
Yeah,
right?
no, was it a weekend?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Well, we saw it not that long ago.
Yeah, but it was after opening, so it wasn't like opening night. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was a handful of days have passed.
Yep.
And it didn't hit me until afterwards that the movie's, I mean, it's called A Quiet Place. The whole film's very quiet. There was those articles about people nervously trying to eat popcorn and not be too loud, and I think some people were having problems like farting and stuff like that, which is hilarious.
Yep.
And so we knew that going in. I think I joked about like, I hope I don't have to, take a shit or something. I don't know. It was a bad joke. So the movie starts and it's dead quiet. They're in that convenience store. And the one thing we noticed was that people walking in late to the theater were like tiptoeing like the characters in the film. And I've never seen a film dictate how people act in a movie theater. Normally, like another film, they just sort of walk in. They're sort of like, oh, where's our seat? Where's this?
Yep.
Oh, hey, can you hear me the popcorn? Like real low.
Yep.
Nothing.
So what very few people, if any, that I've seen online are doing justice to is what Nick pointed out to me, which I didn't notice at first, which is you would guess, given the movie and the title and what you're hearing about it, that people are having trouble like munching on popcorn and doing those things, whatever. But this movie also affects how people move. So that's fascinating just to watch it happen. And it wasn't just people coming late. It was people going in and out to get things, right? Like to take a call or go buy more popcorn or get a drink or whatever. Because you have to move a different way when you're being quiet.
Yeah.
And everyone that left the theater and came back or came in late was acting like a cat burglar, right? Which I've never seen before.
That was really,
and that's amazing. That's like
great. We did have this weird guy. He wasn't trying to be quiet.
Yeah, what the?
There was this really strange guy who I don't know. He just had no sense of balance. He walked by us twice, and we sit in the front row, like there's like the first row, then there's the bottom
Front row, second tier.
Yeah, second tier. So there's a little bit of a drop, and every time this guy walked by us, he did like one of those like cartoon like falling off a cliff, like swinging his arms in a circle, like whoa! And he did it twice.
Yep.
I'm like, come on, man. Like,
and that one dude, he left, and I didn't know where he came from.
And then he came back.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, yeah, I don't know what was going on.
It was really a lot of weird movement was happening.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Most of the people would have lived. He would have been the guy that fell, and
he would have definitely been the guy.
He would have gotten destroyed by the monster. That
Yeah.
poor sorry sucker doesn't even know it. But so it was great to see the people almost acting like they were in the film because of the tension, and they knew people didn't want to like be loud in the theater and have everyone like dart their eyes at them like,
yes,
you fucker.
And you know what's interesting is also one of the effects that I didn't anticipate was people call this movie Quiet Place, but I walked out with a headache. So it's not quiet. It's pretty loud, but it's only loud in very, very contained
That might have been our theater because it was very quiet. But then when the loud stuff happened, our theater had it like jacked up, and it was almost. It hurt almost. Like it wasn't that it was scary because it was loud. It was scary because like it hurt my ears.
Yeah, they would do like a jump scare where someone would reach out and take someone else's hand, and them taking the hand sounded like a bomber squadron. You know?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. I don't know, but here's the point is what I didn't anticipate was I feel like some people cheated themselves of some of the enjoyment of the movie by I was looking over to the left. I don't know if you caught the one guy. But he was just desperately waiting for any kind of noise to happen. And when it did, he was just eating all his popcorn. Right? So he wasn't even looking at the screen. Like there was a great moment where Emily Blunt and John Krasinski do like a slow dance and they're passing earbuds to each other, you know, listening to a song. And the song's cranked. So like it's loud. And the song was playing and I was like, wow, that's a really good moment. And they're really selling it like they're obviously a real couple in real life, but they seem very close and invested in each other or whatever. And I look over, this dude's head is in his popcorn bag.
He's just trying real hard.
He's like, I've only got 30 seconds of this song.
Normally nobody has popcorn left. No one's munching on popcorn midway through the film.
Right.
Most people are done by the time the trailers are done.
Yes.
End of this film, people were sitting there with like full bags of popcorn. Going, well, what do I do now?
Yes.
How do I deal with this?
And we should also, while we're on the theater reaction part, I know it's chronologically wrong, but the reaction in our theater from the audience at the end of the movie was great.
Oh, they loved it.
It was really fun because there's a badass moment, which we're going to spoil, but I'm not going to do yet. But there's a badass moment by one of the main characters, and when they do it, the entire audience it was like Get Out's TSA guy arrival, but all badass, no funny, right? And it was just, but it had that same impact. People were like, yes.
You know what? I wonder, a lot of films like in the 80s and I think in the 90s had like that really cheesy like line before they killed the monster. But now filmmakers have
this was the I've come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum moment.
Yeah,
right?
TS motherfucking A. Like I think instead of doing that stupid cheesy like one liner before they kill the villain, they've mastered the craft of ending like all that tension on like a high cheery note.
Yep.
And you feel good.
Yep.
I kind of like that.
I do too.
I hope that trend keeps going on and on and on.
As long as, actors keep making movies, it will, because
that's true. So let's jump into the
So what'd you think of how it opened and the first death
opening scene? I thought was great. I think setting the tension of like just how quiet everything needed to be there. I thought they did really well with the bare feet walking around. And I see, and you mentioned it, and a lot of other people mentioned it too online, was the items that were still left were like loud items, like bags of chips and other stuff. And it's little details like that. Like I didn't think about it at first because I'm trying to figure out who the characters were. I wasn't like analyzing like the detail of the world. But I knowing that that's there, I loved the detail.
Yeah, for sure.
Work that they put
and
in.
let's set this up. We're assuming most of the people have seen it, but basically, I think the movie starts at what they're calling day 89 of a catastrophe that's unfolded, where the world is at the mercy of these monsters that kill you if you make any kind of sound that gives away your position. Right? So, this family's rummaging through a grocery store or whatever that is, and only the loud items are left, and what they're looking for medicine. Because one of them is sick.
The little boy was sick.
The little boy was the one who dies?
No, the one who dies was fine. It was actually the boy who
That was great how you said that because that just revealed the sadism of the filmmaker. No, the one who was totally fine.
No,
died.
but what's weird, yeah, they got him his medicine and then he was fine the rest of the movie.
Yep.
I don't give a shit about that. But,
Right.
But no, it was the boy who you see throughout the rest of the film.
Yeah, so then the one
who was in that movie, Wonder. That was the movie, Wonder, and he was great in that too.
Yes, and the one boy, he tries to take a noisy like space shuttle,
Like a NASA
toy
rocket, yeah.
with him, and they pull the batteries out of it, and they freak out because they're like, oh my god, he almost got us all killed by triggering this thing. And as they leave, the girl, who the actress is actually deaf, so she taught the whole cast sign language. I saw
That's pretty cool.
She secretly gives him back his toy, and then he secretly takes back the batteries, and then they walk down the road to their unbelievable compound where they live, and he decides to fire that thing up in the middle of the Stand By Me bridge, and
that setup was pretty cool. I mean, the whole film is shot beautifully. I loved all the cinematography, and that scene in general was really beautifully shot.
It was.
What'd you think of the death? Like the actual, like the monster swooping him up,
I thought it was great, and I think it was really so good that it bothered me what the movie. I feel like the movie squandered some of what it accomplished in that scene with some choices it made later. But I loved how they did that scene, and I love how that scene leads to a memorial, which was really cool on the bridge later for the kid. And then I thought. And I turned to you and said this, and I still to this moment feel this. I feel like the character that we're supposed to sympathize with, the girl who gave him the toy back. I'm gonna look up these names in a second. I felt like she was 10 times more annoying than the Babadook kid. Like she just everything about the character and the choices like ever was really bothering me. But
see, I can't judge that because I didn't think he was annoying at all.
Right,
so
right,
in my
right.
eyes, they're both cool.
I mean, annoying in terms of how people take them, because you're right. But I, the just all you got to do is a thought experiment of that movie with that kid surviving that, and then us having to spend the rest of the time watching him want to decide whether he's going to get them killed or not, and screw that. So like
he looked at them batteries like Dennis the Menace though.
So he had to go.
Yeah, he had to go. In fact, I'm glad he bit the dust early.
Yes,
that little son of a gun had to get out of here, causing them trouble. I know, I liked it. The unfortunate thing was with the theater, it was just like it's the first like really loud moment, and I'm not like I hope the people listening to this, I hope your theater was great. But when it happened, I thought like I did like a little prayer, going, please don't let the rest of the film be this loud. It hurts. And it almost like, I don't want to say ruined it, but like it was not as easy to enjoy.
Sure.
Because of like it actually kind of hurt, which makes me sound like a pussy a little bit. But man, was it loud? But the first look you get of the creature, it's really quick. It's just a quick like swoop and he's gone.
So the girl is named, by the way, Regan, which is
Regan?
Now we don't have to. Well, we'll never forget
I'll
that
always
again,
remember
right?
that.
And her real life name is Millicent, which is badass.
That's pretty cool.
Good on you. Okay,
that's pretty cool. But the first glimpse of the monster, they played it pretty close to their chest. They didn't do like a full on slow reveal. It was just letting you know what the speed and ability is of this creature. And I think that setup is perfect because that's all you needed to know was 1, it's fast. 2, it's extremely dangerous. 3, it will hear everything. And even because you didn't even know where the position of the monster was, and even with John Krasinski's character being not that far away, couldn't run to him in time.
Yep.
To save him. And so I think them setting up the danger, it's almost Jaws-like in the beginning with the woman swimming, like you just know how dangerous Bruce is.
Yep.
It did the same thing of letting you know how dangerous those are. Then you find out there's more.
Yep.
And then that intensifies the situation.
Yeah, and behind the scenes in the background, the movie is just doing a really masterful job of explaining to you things about this world. That's not easy to do. I felt like when I was watching this part, I'm going to disagree later, but I felt like that whole build-up and that world building, I was like, man, John Krasinski must have made 10 movies before this because it was really, really pro.
I enjoyed it a lot. Even like the set deck of this film, like because that's the thing is, I think Walking Dead sort of started to veer away from like whenever you watch a horror film, well, I guess they're all based on survival, but like long run survival, like Walking Dead or something like that. People like that's a conversation horror fans always have with each other. Like, what would you like? I remember me and a few friends, they were talking about like, there was a gun store. They'd be like, yeah, we'd hold up there and we do this and we do that. And this film, like they really thought out like what would we do? And I think they already lived at that farm,
I'm
so that helped.
Super disagree with that, as you know.
Oh, so you're
yeah, but
we're gonna do it.
We're
gonna do it.
But
so let me just put it this way. So I thought them thinking like what would they do to survive was genius. George's idea for survival, he would live near water and have no food. No. I'm not the internet. I saw a lot. But no, I do agree with like some of the things you said.
Well, let's
jump into that.
Let's explain this. So they do a really good job of setting it up. So they're basically holed up on their farm where they lived. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of spatial confusion in this movie. There are a lot of times where I did not know where I was. I was in a basement. I didn't know if it was in the house or attached. I had a little bit of that too, yeah, or across from the house. I don't think that was where I felt like it got a little amateur. Was you weren't working with a lot of locations, but you still managed to get me totally lost. Like I would have had to Uber from one place to a guy. I would have had no idea. If John Krasinski had been like, go to my basement where I work on the hearing aids, I'd be like, awesome. I'll just head some direction and like.
Oh, and I looked that up. It was I always get the name of cochlear implant. How do you say it? Yeah, cochlear. Mm-hmm. It was one of those.
Yes.
So I guess that's different than that.
That makes sense.
But we'll get into that later. I think that affects why she wasn't allowed to go down the basement, which is still not a. We'll still get into that.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, but anyway, the point is that they're on a farm, mm-hmm. but they still venture off to a river that is some distance away because it's quite a trip. And at that river, there's a waterfall. And near the river and the waterfall, as John Krasinski explains to his son, you can actually have out loud conversations. You can make, as long as you're not making noises that are louder than the noises around you, then they can't detect you.
It'll mask.
Right? It'll mask.
Yeah.
So you can have a full-on normal conversation like we're having now if you're standing next to a waterfall. The aliens can't hear you over the waterfall, right? So a lot of that just didn't make sense to me, and I didn't bother Googling because I didn't care enough. But some of that is just really counterintuitive. Like the reason to be on a farm is that it's self-sustaining in terms of food, but still you have to venture off in a far distance and risk your life. They almost died doing it, by the way, to go fish because there's not enough food on your farm, which doesn't make sense. Then why do you even have a farm? Just have a house. And then why would you exile yourself to completely silent no talking situation all the time when there's an answer right in front of you? Just build something underground or near a waterfall or whatever. If the farm, or if they didn't have to venture anywhere, if they could have just stayed on the farm, that would have been the reason to be on the farm.
Or do you want better? Why not get some sort of device that makes enough noise to surround your farm with?
Yes.
Sort of create like a digital waterfall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally, exactly. So get something like super loud, like my sixth grade history teacher.
That part of the film, and then like the spatial awareness, because like there was like two basements. There was like the one where he worked on the ear, mm-hmm. the ear stuff, and then the one where they hid from the monsters towards the end.
So the nail leads to which one?
The nail leads to the one where they had the waterfall, where Emily Blunt's character has.
So the nursery.
The nursery,
but not the
ear
factory.
Ear factory. Is that what we're calling it?
Probably not.
The ear factory.
Probably not. No, actually, I'm going to call it the home of the whiteboard. They shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So I was thinking the only reason she might have not been allowed in there is because it had a lot of like high frequency radios.
Yes.
And maybe if she went down there, it would affect her.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, honestly, it's just the accumulation of things like that. About one or two isn't going to be weird. But so it's not even that. It's not that I want to pick at the movie. It's that I started to get the feeling, and it really became a strong, like I became really convinced of my feeling during the whole grain tower sequence, mm-hmm. that the movie needed to do certain things to get the kind of scenes it wanted. Yeah. And it didn't care what internal logic it didn't meet to get there, right? So I'll give you the example of it, right? Because this is where the movie really bothered me. And hopefully this will make sense. They did an amazing job, like you said. Big spoiler coming. They did an amazing job, like you said, of making the monsters terrifying. They were a cool design, but that wasn't what made them terrifying. What made them terrifying, and you have to believe these monsters basically wiped out an entire world. Like, there's not many people left at this point. By the time we're like 400 days in when we meet them after the NASA kid dies. So the congratulations on joining NASA, kid, because that's what I'm gonna call you. So anyway, the point is that what happened was they made the monsters appear out of nowhere. They were sudden. They were fast AF, and they were ferocious and strong, right? So they would pick people up and whisk them into the sky or off into whatever, pulverize them, whatever, and it was just instantaneous. Like you make one bad move and they're gone. That one old guy, he screams and then he's just pulverized, right? But at the end of the movie, John Krasinski needs to sign an entire elaborate message to his semi-estranged daughter, Regan. And the monster all of a sudden can't make it 20 feet to go kill him without like a big 90-second pause. It can't get through the roof of a rusty truck that I think I could kick my way through, because the movie needs to buy enough time for him to complete his big touching message. And that's what I mean, is they took what they had and they sold it out because they needed something else they thought they had needed over here. But I didn't feel that way with like Get Out. Get Out has its own problems, but they weren't problems of, I didn't feel like the movie was like, we spent 90 minutes building up ferocious fast monsters, but we're going to slow the monsters down and make them weaker because we need this moment. And I felt like this movie did that a couple times, especially in the grain scene. So that's where it bothered me. That was the only, I didn't mean to pick everything. It's the fact that it built into a pattern of things, right?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. I'm just trying to think of whether or not it bothered me, because I don't think it. Well, one, I know it didn't, and I don't know if.
Right, of course.
Well, it's funny. This the whole time I was watching the film, I was going, I wonder what people are going to nitpick about the movie.
And I was sitting right next to you.
Yeah, the whole time going, yeah, this,
and
then this. No, but the whole reason it didn't bump with me is I think it's because I enjoyed the characters a lot. Like, I thought they were really well acted, really well written. So when it came to giving us those moments, I enjoyed it. Plus, those are the moments that I'm gonna like think of the most when I imagine that film, was the part where John Krasinski. What's his character's name? I keep calling him John Krasinski.
Lee.
Lee is when Lee gets it. I thought it was a really touching moment. Plus, it's hard to.
Oh, and Emily Blunt's character is named Evelyn, which the first three letters of is Eve. So. Restarting humanity. This movie's thought this through.
Easy. But no, I thought if this film hadn't had those parts, it wouldn't have had like the heart that it had to it. And so I don't. So does it make sense? Not really. Like, I'll agree.
Sure.
But I think it was necessary to have a few parts like that just to give us something to connect with and to give us a few of those moments. Otherwise,
yeah, no, it needs those parts. I just thought the way they were executed was schmaltzy. Like I thought we got to know and Get Out. Not to keep doing this comparison, but I thought we got to know there was a really strong friendship bond between TSA guy and the main character. But there was no moment where they were like hugging it out or talking about how they would, like, do anything for each other or whatever. Yeah. You just got it. The movie just gave it to you. This movie didn't. It just made it happen, right? And that's the thing is, it's so funny you said bumped on, because we assiduously avoid politics. This is not what this podcast is about. But I was watching an interview with James Comey, and he kept, what his version of that is in his interviews? He goes, someone's like, "Didn't you notice this or whatever?" He's like, "No, I never indexed on that." Indexed.
Never indexed on it.
Right. Now I'm like, oh, what did I index on?
I don't know if I indexed. What did I index most on? No, I'm trying to think of why it didn't bump with me. I think it was because I was really into I think the tension they had set with the monster was good enough. And also by the end of the film,
watch, just hold that thought for you, because watch this. I love this movie. I highly recommend it. I think you should see it in the theater at least 2 times. I'm not. I mean, the movie is a great movie. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen in a theater in quite a while. So it's it's a great movie. It's just. That's the thing, is it was so good it bothered me when it dropped the ball, but whatever. Go ahead.
No, and I agree. I know you're not saying like the movie is like bad or anything like that by any stretch. I was trying to think of like why I didn't feel the same way, and I think it's because it had to be the monster design, because those moments were the first part where we got a really good look at the monster, what it was capable of, the details of it. And so I think
everybody is doing this right now. It's funny, we just watched Rogue, which is not current, but it was the same thing. Don't show the monster right away. The Ritual did that. This did that.
They're quick blurs, and then by the end of the film, it's like they really pull back the curtain. And I think those were the moments when they pulled back the curtain. So while they're doing like the schmaltzy like stuff that doesn't make any sense,
you were watching the monster, right?
I was just like, that looks crazy cool, and I was like watching its skin like flip. Saying it right now makes my head itch, because the way it's like it was just his head was opening up, made me so uncomfortable. Like I think there's a term for like seeing shit like that.
Yeah, it was like a xenomorph Demogorgon, and it was it was just a really
it was really good. But I think those were the moments where when that stuff was happening, plot like world wise is a weird, but I was like, well, that monster looks pretty good. Well, it's something I would probably notice second, third.
Well, and to be fair, like the world Get Out builds is way less ambitious than this world. Get Out is the world we live in, racism and all, right? This world is not the world we live in, and you got to build rules, and you got to have all. So the ambition is for the world building is higher, which means there's greater chance to flub it. I totally understand all that. That's the thing, is let's say that John Krasinski, like Jordan, Peele's it. I don't think he's as big as horror fan. I think he said that he's not as a horror fan as Jordan Peele. But let's say that he decided to make I would hope he would learn and make, because he could make a perfect horror movie, like literally perfect. This is so good, right? There was just these things, and the first thing you got to talk about as a horror fan with a horror movie is it's scary, and that's where this movie does not drop the ball. It's relentless and exhausting and scary and exhilarating and just ruthless.
It's definitely a modern creature feature.
Yep.
So and that's the thing, is I've seen some people say like, is it horror? We thought it was more sci-fi. I'm gonna set the record straight. Fight me IRL. This is a creature feature. This is a horror film. Don't let anyone try to bullshit you into what it is or what they think it is. This is by the books, a creature feature.
But that's the thing, is let's put it in context for those who don't know. The director has confirmed that the monsters in this movie are actually aliens. So this is basically a War of the Worlds situation that we're in without knowing it while we're watching most of the movie, right? So that is their argument for why it's not horror, and that doesn't make it any more convincing. I just wanted to put it in context for people to know why it's still wrong, but that's the argument. Because if someone had told me based on the trailers and what I heard, but not the alien thing, The Quiet Place was a horror movie, I would have taken them to like the hospital. Like, what are you talking about? It's not a horror movie.
I would have taken him to a hospital in space, galaxies away, and be like, now this is sci-fi.
This is right, exactly. Now this is sci-fi. And if a xenomorph comes out, now this is horror. So yeah, it's a horror movie. We don't need to dwell on that. But
I thought that was a little.
Okay, yeah, for sure. There are some amazing visual touches. You'll come at it from a different angle as a editor, so you can talk about. I just love they built an alert system which it consists of flipping the lights, which Emily Blunt does at the worst possible moment for her, flipping the lights, and then there's all these really cool strings of lights in the farm that makes it look like lit up like Christmas tree, and then they all go blood red, which is the alarm, the warning.
That look was so cool.
It was so cool.
And that was right after they go to the waterfall, they go to catch their fish or whatever. Yeah. Or I think that's after they see the guy in the woods.
Probably on the way back.
It's after their long trip. Yep. But the look on his face when they just see like the red glow.
Well, that's because she has drawn their attention by stepping on the Home Alone nail.
They do Home Alone it in this film.
Right, which is Which
gnarly.
is this, if anything is ever going to convince you that Home Alone is actually a horror movie,
This movie.
it's this movie, because they do the same thing with Home Alone.
If one of the aliens had went, "Hey, Mom," at any point in time, you could slap Home Alone on this film. Same thing.
It would have been fine.
Same thing.
There's a running nail gag in this that is just terrifying,
and they set it up.
It's Hitchcockian the way they set it up, and just play with it and fuck with you.
It's what was that old infomercial? They set it and forget it. It's just like, there it is, and then at the
payoff's not till like 20 minutes later,
and it's unexpected. It is just, there it is. Deal with this harsh reality.
It's really amazing, and the thing about that part is that, so she hits the alarm, but she has drawn their attention because she stepped on the nail. She didn't scream in pain, which tells you that these people have been living for a year plus at making sure they never make a sound, which I liked, that inner discipline, that they have. But she does drop something, which breaks, and it makes a sound, and now their house is being invaded by the alien. And she didn't want them to just blunder into a house where the alien's rummaging about and get killed. So she does the alarm, the silent alarm, the red alarm, which is just such a great look. And not only was it a great look in terms of when it first went on, but it gave a lot of the rest of the movie that real horror movie look, because everything was being shot in dark and red, tones. Which
was so
badass.
It was just so good. And then even the way they pre-planned having the kid, they're like, okay, we're gonna put it in a soundproof thing with the oxygen tank. Like, I thought that was smart. I enjoyed that. The monster design, just Jesus Christ, I just thought it was so interesting. It was great to see it. It sort of looked a little bit like and I thought it looked like the Demogorgon that people see in Stranger Things, but it also looked like a cross between that and I forget the names of them, but they're the main like common enemy in Dead Space. They have like those really big limbs like that, but instead they walked on them, and I thought that was just really cool. Even the close-ups of like the ear was gross.
Yeah, that was their mega ear, like they're ridiculous.
They had like Inspector Gadget looking like things just open up, and they're like,
that's
over
exactly
here.
what it looked like. That's hilarious. That's totally true, and and their ear, like when they focused in, they gave you the sound that they were hearing.
Yeah,
which was
there
terrifying.
was the egg timer, and to us would be like a medium level, but to them it was the loudest thing you'd ever hear. It was like a bomb going off, and I thought that was really cool to sort of let us experience sound from the monster's point of view.
We experienced the sound or lack thereof from all the characters' point of view. Like when the earbud situation, we were back and forth with when the deaf girl couldn't. Like when we were from her POV, there was no sound for most of the movie.
Yeah, so I noticed that, especially like in the farm, it would cut to the little boy, and it would be like like what we hear, and then it cuts to Reagan, and then there's just like this. It's muted, but there's like a slight hum to it. Like it had a little bit of texture to it. And I thought that was a really cool touch.
That was really cool. And that was the thing, was you had everyone was looking out for each other in a really kind of cool way, even though they were sort of dysfunctional from the guilt of having lost the first kid at the beginning.
Yeah.
They had their plan, their system. They had the fireworks alarm, which was
my god, what
distraction,
a scene.
which was great. It was a great sequence, and the little bonding moments they were great, especially when Emily Blunt, who's a national treasure, was doing them. I told you in the movie, like there's a scene where she's teaching the kid basic math, and he gets something right, and the camera pans, and he doesn't see it because he's looking down at the paper, but she gets this absolute look of pride on her face, and just that look, like I would do anything for that. Like I would run a marathon just if someone would look at me like with that look, and all he did was like 6 plus 9, whatever. But but I mean, the acting in this was really, really high level.
It was phenomenal. Even the child actors, like the girl who played Reagan was great, and I'm gonna keep calling him the boy from Wonder. And I couldn't remember. It was so weird. I forgot we had so many like weird random connections. We watched Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Yep.
Which had a character named Augie, and I was like, where have I seen a movie with a kid named Augie? And it was the film Wonder, where the main character's name was Augie, and then that kid was in this film, and it was just a weird like interwoven like web of lies I'm living.
Totally. His name's Marcus.
Marcus in the film or
in
IRL?
the film, and then the kid, NASA kid, is named Bo.
Yeah, he's
It doesn't matter.
I don't care. He's so dead.
He's named Gage. So
Gage?
No, I'm kidding.
I was like, oh my god.
Inside joke. So yeah. So can we? And then like that. The thing is, I just can't go past this without the grain scene. Come on, everything that's wrong about this movie is in that sequence. The grain tower. They're standing at the top of the tower. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
And the two children are like arguing. And the plan is that in an emergency, they go there, they set a signal fire, and then their dad will come find them eventually, right? Mm-hmm. And the dad is coming to find them, which we know, but they don't know. But they start arguing, and then the boy and the girl are like whatever, and Reagan is like the kids. She's like, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. He's not coming, and the kid's like, yeah, Dad's coming for us. And she's like, no, we got to go. And he's like, he's coming for us. And she's like, no, he's coming for you. But you're in the same freaking spot.
Yeah, he's not going to show up and be like, you with me,
right,
you
jump off.
Just jump off.
Jump off the tower. Make a sound. Do your ABCs. I'll be right back. Like, yeah, that's not a thing. Like, so there was no reason for them to even try to vacate that because it was completely illogical. But then they fall into the grain tower, which was a great shout out to the scene Vampire, but is
and Jurassic Park.
The
windshield.
Yeah, but there's just no logic. They fall in. They're in the world's most aggressive quicksand like grain.
It's called grain entrapment. I looked it up. It's a real.
Okay, so I'm wrong. You're telling me I'm wrong because they get sucked into it. They both disappear. Like they're gone. Like it sucks them down. They fight it. No luck. It pulls them in grain entrapment, which I believe is a thing. And there's a part of the silo that fell in, so it's sort of like
the
a door. Right. So that's their life raft, right? But then the monster jumps in, and then they crawl into the grain and hide under the door. The grain just killed you.
I was thinking about that. I think when now I could be wrong because I got all of this information from like
your grain studies
from like my grain study. It was like ABC 4 in Iowa. They had like a demonstration of it, and then like the Wikipedia page. But I think they were standing vertical, which is easier to get sunk into. I think when the door thing happened, I think they were horizontal.
Okay.
And I think that might have been the difference. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know why.
I'll buy that.
Different.
I'll buy that.
That's the best I can answer. It is a little.
No. I'll buy that as a thing. I don't think the movie knew that. I think the movie was doing what it was doing. But I mean, I'll buy that. And if I had to choose between getting eaten by that monster and getting sucked into the grain, I'd probably pick the monster, to be honest.
Monster would be quick.
Would be quick. But I could see making the choice of the grain and then being excited that you didn't get sucked into it again. That's fine. I can see like whatever. But the point is that there was the movie didn't give you anything to index on about why that wouldn't be the case. And I think it's just because the movie wanted a claustrophobic scare scene, right? So that was the thing. But I'll give it all the credit in the world. It was scary.
Yeah, and the whole time they were sinking, I got sweats. I was like, oh my God. Anytime like anyone's sinking like that. The only other film I could think of that did quicksand effectively was like the first live action Jungle Book that Disney did way back in the 90s. There's a guy who gets stuck in the quicksand, and that terrified me as a kid.
Yep.
And so that same fear of like just like hopelessness set in.
Yep,
Physics of it, I'm not sure, but it definitely made me like.
It's fine. I don't want to be that person. It was a scary scene. It was just that was the thing is where I felt like the movie just was headed towards those moments without kind of a thought to the other part. But it totally redeems itself with how they set us up for except for the ridiculous whiteboard that we cut to like 30 times to explain the plot over and over to us. But
3 of them, weakness. I'm just reading off what the board said.
It was the whiteboard did not need to be there. That they just assumed that we are dumb. But the setup.
No, I don't think they thought we were dumb. I think it was an easy, quick visual for the audience to go, okay, there's 3 of them. We don't know what weaknesses. Okay, we keep going. Without them like talk, because like other films, like they do it through like long dialogue.
At least it wasn't an expo dump, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It was something visual, in the background. So, yeah. Take it or leave it.
Fair enough. But when we get to the scene where, from the moment where the flood happens inside Emily Blunt's sanctuary and everyone is kind of fighting their separate private battles all the way up until when Regan figures it out.
They almost Dunkirked it. Bunch of different battles happening.
It was really cool. It's just really good, really scary, really effective. And the characters didn't make any dumb decisions or do anything inconsistent at that point that would take you out of it. It was really kind of a perfect way to
And when the monster went underneath the water, that was like an oh shit, because you're like, yep. I didn't.
That was literally the same move that Pennywise did in the remake when he's in the basement. Remember?
Oh yeah.
It was. I mean, it looked like even the same body language, and it was kind of cool. Like that's just an effective as hell scene.
The great thing this thing did cinematography wise, it had a lot of shit happening in the background. Yep. So like in that scene, you would see it moving, and then there was a part when John Krasinski's character and the young boy, they're at the house. And all the red lights are on. And then way off in the distance, like 150, 200 yards, you see the creature like slip into the front door.
Yep.
Like while they're looking at it. Like they didn't have to focus on it. They had to cut to it.
Yep.
They just let it happen in the background. And it looked so cool.
It did. And that's, that was one of the things is I'm going to have to go back and rewatch because I don't think I caught all of it. But there were moments where they would light a fire at the tower and you'd see signal fires from other survivors in kind of like the distance. And then gradually there were no fires.
Yeah.
So that meant they were all getting like eaten. And just that visual was amazing. That's just a really cool like way to demonstrate.
You could do that in any film. I think it's all because of Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's funny because one of the literally oldest plays known to man, which is Agamemnon. I think Aeschylus wrote it. He's a Greek playwright. Like literally, it's going to be hard to find something written before this play. It opens with them lighting fires like every quarter mile to send a signal that the enemy's coming. That's like one of the first things we've ever written as a species.
Wow!
And we're still doing it, which is like
that's nutty.
Which is amazing. It's really cool. But that's the thing is. Think about how chilling that concept is. I was thinking to myself while I was watching this movie that the director was a sadist, like putting these characters through this, putting the actors through it. It's just they go through some really horrendous shit, and then to go to that high level and look out and see all those other fires and know that this movie's happening in 50 other places. Like they're all fighting their little battles, and the camera could just glide out of here and go a mile away and glide down and show you someone else's life, and they're going through the same thing you're going over here. Is just one of the most chilling things in a modern horror movie I've seen in quite a while. Just the concept, what it's intimating, is just terrifying. So it's really cool.
It was a cool feeling of knowing like, okay, so they're screwed. Now they're screwed. These guys are screwed. Yeah. I'm surprised they're still alive. Just going down the list. And it's just it's just a cool shot.
And they're over there, like I'm sure, like if I was over in the other farm, I'd be looking at John Krasinski's fire, and night after night it would go up, and I'd be like, man, he must have lost the NASA kid, because there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way that NASA kid's still there, or that fire would be out.
I saw that kid throwing rocks. I'm surprised he lived that long.
So yeah. So what do you think? You'd recommend it? See it in the theater?
Highly recommend it. Highly recommend seeing it in the theater.
Yep.
Bring some earphone or bring like some earplugs for the jump scares, because goddamn was it loud.
Where do you put this on horror movies you've seen this year so far? Is this?
I think this is. What other horror films have I seen in the theater?
We've seen a lot of horror films not just the theater, just
in general.
Just seen in general.
Oh, right? This is definitely
like compared to the Ritual. Do you feel like this is?
Compared to the Ritual?
Yeah.
Oh, Ritual was good.
Yeah.
Ritual was real good. I think I would say I liked this better.
Me too.
By
a hair.
By a hair.
I think the difference in that case is Emily Blunt.
Yes. Yeah, her,
because Ritual's really a lot of men's issues. Like it gets kind of monotonous in that part, but compared to
like the stakes of The Ritual.
Oh, good point. True.
To this, I found myself putting myself in the situation of A Quiet Place more than I did The Ritual. The Ritual is more of
That's
like,
a
this is a
great
fun
way to-
journey. I like watching it. Quiet Place, I'm going, what would I do? What would I do?
You were in
I
the
would have done
shoes
that.
more.
I'd be fucked.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah, I totally agree. Did you see Cloverfield Paradox?
I did not. I watched the ending with the giant monster, but I did not sit through the whole.
Yeah, this is much better than that.
The whole thing.
So, yeah. Okay. I honestly, I think it's one of. Right now, it's in my top 3 for the year. I'm gonna try to keep track, like as we watch more throughout the year, like where some movies are sort of positioned, because I feel like I went into this move into this year thinking this was going to be not as good a year for horror as last, and now I'm rethinking it because I'm having fun, like, and watching a lot of stuff. We were talking about I watched, and I don't even know what counts for this year, but I just watched it. So whatever, that movie Ravenous, the zombie movie on Netflix, that I ended up finally watching, which is really good. So I just think there's a lot of a lot of quiet, sneaky horror, like like last year it would have been like Girl with All the Gifts or whatever, but this year you have these movies that come out of nowhere that you don't expect, and then you have the big like meteor strikes like Halloween.
That's the one I think everyone's got their eyes on.
Yep.
Where's that gonna land?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know. The way I see Halloween is like, how's LeBron gonna perform this year? Like, he's either gonna crush it or something's gonna happen.
Well, judging on the game yesterday, he's gonna crush it. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. And then that would mean that A Quiet Place would be like the Kevin.
Oh, you're gonna do
it would be
this?
like the Kevin Durant almost. like if he's on the court, he's gonna do good. But there's just something about LeBron.
Yeah, I think Kevin Durant and the monster in this movie have the same
Arm
wingspan.
span.
I
Exactly.
think it's an apt comparison.
Exactly. So definitely worth checking out. See you in the theaters if you can. If not,
No, see it in the theaters. There is no if not. Go
see it in the theaters. I don't know why I'm telling you. Go see it in the theaters. Support horror
If you
films.
can't see it in the theater, then let us know, because we'll have to like get together a party of 100 of our best friends and invite you over so you can all watch it together, because that's the only way to like.
No, I'm not doing that, and I'll tell you why. Because
You told him to fight you IRL. Like,
no, what I'm gonna do is we'll instead of having everyone come over at once, we'll have them come over one at a time, and then when the jump scare comes, I'll just scream in their ear so they can get that movie theater quality experience.
I'd pay to see that.
So, plus they'd be like looking at me like, what's he gonna scream? We're terrified of my goofy ass yelling in their ears.
Just do me a favor. When you scream and they look at you, just pause for a second and be like, "Are you indexing on me?"
Now let me index on this. So that's A Quiet Place. Yes. I think totally worth it.
Great movie. Go see it.
Go see it. And since you're at the end of this episode,
Speaking of great things,
and you're at the end of this episode, and you're thinking, oh, geez, guys, I'd really want some more Hollow Weekly in my life. Well, we got the answer for you with an interactive horror story. Telltale Midnight, an interactive horror story. Head on over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/HollowWeekly, where you can be a part of a horror film. The way I was sitting there going, what would I do in A Quiet Place? You can get a similar experience with Telltale Midnight. This month, I don't know how many more installments we have left, but right now we are at the Horror Hotel, and there are some gross ass people in this hotel killing our fans. And we actually did our first memorial video.
Which
the
was
flirts,
great.
the flirts are gone. All the flirts dead.
Yep.
They died. I think they got choked out by like a Samara looking ghost. And we had one jock and our scholar.
This is a sore spot for me, Nick, because I died. So, and I'm a scholar. So,
but you say you die every time, so it's like no longer like that's not a surprise.
Yeah, but I was making it further. I had made it further into this journey. And
but
now I'm dead.
We got some fun things going in there. We got some fun trivia.
So yeah, let me give a quick shout out to what's going on here, because we know you, because we interact with you guys not only after you respond from these episodes, but also on our Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and email. And what we've come to realize is that you are the smartest horror crowd around.
I've said it. I said the Criterion Collection.
Yes, and the reason that pertains is because we have added a feature in the game where if you answer a trivia question, you earn extra. You can move on to an extra life even if you've died, or you can have extra protection from the villains in the horror hotel. And we've had some really fun. So I put a really hard trivia question. So I'm going to say it here, but I'm not going to give the answer. Okay. But we challenged our people with what horror movie that is considered major. So this was grossing a box office of more than $3 million. And we set a date of after 1950 because we didn't want to deal with the classics. In that category of movies, what movie had the shortest script? And it took a while for the group to crack this answer because it's harder than it looks and it's hard to even look up on Google. But we eventually got an answer, which was amazing because I didn't think they were going to get it. And it was watching. So they were, even though they're all competing against each other, like a la Survivor, they, in the face of this question, they were like, let's work together. And they started like working together to solve it. And it was like watching people in a jigsaw trap.
Exactly.
And they figured it out, which was amazing. So if you have horror knowledge and you want to put it to good use, join this game because this is where it's going to pay off. You're going to earn some cool prizes. We're also going to have some merch and some things.
The store's up and it looks so good. Yep. Oh, I look at it and I go, you know what? That's the staple. I was
went broke buying your own.
I went broke buying. I was like, would I buy this gear? You bet your ass I would.
That's right, exactly right. So this is you've spent a lot of time absorbing some really really good horror content, and now it's going to pay off. You're gonna win.
It'll save your life.
Yeah. So join a Patreon at Hello Weekly.
Yep, patreon.com/HallowWeekly. Check it out, and until next time, stay scary. Watch a bunch of horror movies.
Stay quiet.
Stay quiet.